And there's a gorgeous girl at the bar. Oh my god. It's part of the reason I stayed here. Joking. Part of the reason. That's what I said, part. Small part, of course. Look at all the thistle down. So this chateau was Chateau Gaillard. It was built by Richard the Lionheart just towards the end of the 12th century as a fortification against the French crown. At the time was Philip Auguste, and those two kings, Richard the Lionheart, who was king of England and all over the domains of Aquitaine, Anjou, Normandy, Breton. Well, no, not really Breton Duchy. Well, yeah, it was sort of paid homage to King Richard. Anyway, Richard was fantastically, in theory, wealthy because he had this giant empire stretched from the Pyrenees to Scotland. And there was the French king, Philip II, and they were very much as loggerheads. They were great friends, actually. They'd known each other, they'd slept in the same bed, which lends to rumours that they might have been homosexual. But everyone these days, especially historians, progressive historians, they're all too ready to suddenly take the slightest bit of evidence of history and say, King Richard was a homosexual because he slept in the same bed with men. Well, it's quite common to sleep in the same bed with men because they didn't have many beds. It sounds like a funny thing to say today, but literally most people didn't sleep in beds. So, although we know it, only the king would have a lovely big bed. So when Richard went to visit Philip, they would stay in the same bed and everyone else would sleep in the hall or things like this. And remember that Philip and King Richard went on crusade together. They were great friends. Alas, when Richard was imprisoned in the Holy Roman Empire by Leopold, I can't remember, one of the Leopolds, I believe, his lands in France, as we call it today, were being under assault by the French crown. And anyway, after he died, he got shot by an arrow, I believe, when he was sieging a place in France somewhere. Obviously, we all know who John Lackland was. Started losing territory to the French king. And anyway, this chateau saw a great siege, really on the frontier between the old Kingdom of France and the Plantagenet Empire. It's quite a marvellous structure, and I think, if I remember correctly, it was built in something like 2 years. 2 years. You know, the main body of it. That was rare, but I think at the same time when King Richard the Lionheart built Dover Castle, that took 10 years. This amazing structure over there took 2 years. And there used to be a bridge that spanned this, that's an island there, and then spanned the Seine over there. But it was destroyed, I think, for the cause of barges, to allow barges to go up the river. Anyway, there's a new bridge, a new suspension bridge, which was built post-war over there. Anyway, Les Andelys, this is the place. It's a very beautiful village. It's on the border of the Seine. There's these lovely colombage houses, a lovely church in the square. Probably they took the stones from the chateau. After the French crown had absorbed much of this land, after the 100 Years' War, it became less of an important strategic point. Over time, it got neglected, the garrison left, and then some ecclesiastic types from a local monastery got permission from the king to use the stone, so they started disassembling the chateau. And what remains of it today is really what stone they didn't steal. And it was only until after the French Revolution that the site was considered historically important. One of the main sieges, I think the first siege, has an important tale of atrocity because some 2,000 villagers of the fortress town went up to find security in the chateau. The chateau was completely surrounded by the French forces. Obviously there wasn't enough food in the castle, so they had an agreement and I think they let out 400 civilians, and then they let out another 400. But when the French king got word of this, he said, do not let any more out because we'll have to starve them out. And anyway, the next lot that were let out were not let back into the keep, nor allowed across the enemy lines. And so hundreds, if not thousands of people suffered a couple of months of absolute starvation, and they died, and there was cannibalism and everything. Just there, just between the walls and that bit of ground there. You know, it reminds one of the siege of Alesia by Julius Caesar and many other sieges, because the garrison doesn't have enough food to keep the main troops fed. They often try and get rid of civilians so that they can continue holding out the siege. Anyway, it's just another interesting tidbit. But it's lovely here. I've ensconced myself with some few people, and today I had lunch at a fellow's place who I'd met at the bar, which is very lovely. He was a very kind man and had great food, and it was good. And there's a gorgeous girl at the bar. Oh my god. It's part of the reason I stayed here. Joking. Part of the reason. That's why I said part. Small part, of course. She's quite delightful. It's strange to see such a beautiful young woman in a bar like this, because normally in these bars in France, the village bar, the tabac, it's just some middle-aged chap, you know, maybe with some stubble and maybe a bit of a belly. But to see a very beautiful, blonde, blue-eyed lady who's also very sweet, it's quite surprising. Anyway, I thought you might like to hear a little bit of that. Yeah, Les Andelys, very charming place. I much advise anyone to visit. It has history, it's beautiful, it's on the Seine, not too far from Paris, I imagine. For me, walking, so it's a bit far. Tomorrow I'm going to continue on to Vernon. I suppose I'll see you there. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and consider giving some money to my fundraising effort with St. Mungo's in aid to tackling homelessness. I have Instagram, Dominic de Bonhomie, and Folly in France. And if you go to my website, you can find much more there, including an interactive map with my route and all the videos linked on the map. So join me next time for another little yomp in France.